Big love. Namaste, people. I hope you're all having an absolutely fantasticular. See, I took the word fantastic, I took the word testicle, and I took the word spectacular, and I made one word out of them. That's what you call style, working the English language, work that language. I like the way you work the language, baby. So how you guys all doing? Hope you're well. I hope you're smiling. Hope you having an absolutely awesome start to the day, kicking off in style, as I like to say. Only one way to kick off that day. We're going to be getting right into it today, We're going to be getting up close and personal. Oh yeah, baby, we're going to get personal. And this is a topic that is needing to be discussed. We're waiting for TallTree. We've got Toby Shinobi. You guys must know Toby Shinobi. Toby Shinobi he's a podcaster. He's also a word decoder, decoding what's going on in the world, looking at the occult backdrop upon which a lot of the psyops are happening, as well as the esoteric wanderings into the spiritual sciences. And we've just been joined by dear brother TallTree. And TallTree, for those of you that don't know, he's a lovely brother. He's a father and grounded homestead starter. I think he's getting into the homestead business. Well, that's the line I think he's going to move into with his chickens and his little home farm he's going to start doing. And also just a very grounded, down-to-earth thinker. It's an honor to have you both here, dear TallTree, dear Toby Shinobi. Toby's at work, so he'll pop in every once in a while when he can. How are you doing?
Oh, there it is. Hi. No, you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I don't know about homesteading, but I'm definitely trying to do something over here. We got 4 chickens, and they are doing great. They're really fantastic. They're big now. They're basically like full size, and I just had to buy more stakes, some 7-footers. Then I gotta get some more fencing because I gotta bring their fence higher because they're really good flyers, and they'll just pop over. They'll get on top of the chicken coop, and then they'll pop over the fence, and then they'll be like, "Oh shit, I gotta get back," and I'll look at the garden, and I'll see one chicken on the edge of the fence trying to get his way back in, her way, whatever. And then we got a bunch of vegetables that I basically just, you just put the seeds in the ground and then it grows. This mustard that I grew is exploded. It's like, so we've had a lot of rain and humidity, and everything is just boom. So my mustard is just like popping off. I gotta go out there today and cut some of it. And then I got these bean vines coming up. They're probably about 2 foot tall now. And I got squash and corn coming up, and a bunch of wildflowers, some sunflowers. But it's exciting because you don't know you don't know what's gonna happen, and then you see little things pop up, and they're teeny weeny, right? And you're like, oh, you're like, keep going, buddy. And you water it out, you're watering, and then eventually they grow up, which is really nice. And then there's other stuff that just doesn't. You're just like, where the hell did you go? You put the old seeds in there, and there's nothing popping up. So I think that's probably a matter of like put the seeds too far down on some of those. So whoops. And then I was trying to start seedlings. I don't know if anybody remembers previous videos, but I was trying to start seedlings, in my basement here, and I got a lot of seedlings, and then I transplanted them in some bigger jars that are outside, and I'm still waiting for those to grow. They're still tiny. They're not struggling, but they're not really growing. So there was probably some things that I did when they were first growing that didn't help them. But it's it's a process of learning for sure.
I must talk you through that of the transition when you're from indoor to outdoor. There's a process involved.
Yeah, for
the
sure.
light frequencies. But yeah, that's you should have transitioned them indoors, kept them indoors,
Mhm.
and then started the process of transition. But you need to have something to break the light outside, like a light breaker. It's a kind of mesh you buy from a garden, and you get 80%, 70%. So you've got to have two mesh grades, one 80% grade and one 60% grade.
Yeah.
And then you transition them under the 60%, and then from there to the 80%, and then from there into the normal. Like it's got
Yeah.
to be a pro.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
But yeah,
I planted them, and I kind of threw them out in full sunlight for a little bit, and then I was like, you know what, that's probably not the best idea. And I moved them over to a more shady area, and they seem to like that a lot more. Like I said, they're still alive, they're still there, but they're little guys.
they need a root, and the rooting temperature is important to have like a heating mat under the rooting. Is these things make a difference.
Yeah.
And we've got Toby Shinobi, Toby One Kenobi, as I like to call him. Are you in the house, or you might be busy?
What's up, guys?
Hey guys.
Hey,
Tony.
you with us, man?
Yeah, sorry I don't have my sorry I don't have my camera on for now. I thought I'd just join in the chat. I'm gonna come on in about half an hour to an hour, but I'll be listening, and then I might just jump in briefly. But yeah, I'm just gonna keep my camera off, and while I do some hoovering, listen to you guys chatting, and I'll be on in about half an hour-ish.
Sounds good.
Sweet. So let's jump in. If you could keep your mic off when you're not talking, because then it's less echoey on the live stream. Yeah. There should be a button on the bottom left. So yeah. We're going to be deep diving today. The esoteric gangsters take over of planet Earth. There's a couple of things that I really think we need to be looking at. We need to be talking about this. Like you said, Jeremy, serendipity. This is exactly what you were thinking about. And I think it's on all our minds. These billionaires are out to, I did a little bit of a maths discussion the other day. And more recently, I did a better maths situation here. And I shall show you what I'm talking about, right? This is going to blow your minds. Mind blowing. So we know there's a psyop going on, right? We know that transhumanism is happening. We know that they want us to become AI mad, addicted to AI. We know they've got plans to homogenize AI and humanity. There's a lot of money in this. There's a lot of investment. There's a lot of research. It wouldn't be happening if it wasn't a thing, right? Is that a tripod for your rifle?
No, I don't have a rifle tripod.
Just checking.
I
He
need
might be
one.
getting ready for the war.
No.
The AI war. I could see you like as an old man going out for your daily shooting practice and like shooting down the drones, like setting up your tripod and just shooting down the drones, like shooting them one at a time. That could be a lot of fun one day, you know? You'll have to teach your daughter to shoot so she can one day get up in the morning and shoot down the drones, you know? Using an air rifle that's silent. But these air rifles have got some kick these days, you know?
Yeah.
You get like a 9mm air rifle. You shoot down the drones.
50 cal air rifle. I did a deep dive.
did.
I did a deep dive into air rifles, and they get just as expensive as real firearms and just as sophisticated. It's
And
pretty
dangerous.
wild. Oh yeah, I mean it's like any other firearm, but air rifles
And you
are
don't need a license
intense.
for air rifles in this country.
Oh, okay,
Isn't that interesting?
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, can
very
you
interesting.
does does South Africa make its own air rifles? Can you import them?
I don't know. You can
Hmm.
buy them. You can import them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a green spot in the law at the moment. They're
Yeah.
probably going to tighten that up. I need to get myself a couple of air guns before they do, like a
Mhm.
9mm air gun, handgun, and because I want to have them without a license. I want to get them before you need a
Yeah,
license.
yeah. I think everything's gonna tighten up. Um, so I just want to talk. I just want to
So
speak
I
to
think we
your.
need to get ourselves get our hands on some EMPs for the machines. I don't think bullets will be any good. I think we need EMPs, kind of things to shut down machines.
I think there's going to have to be a consensus a communal consensus in certain geographical areas where people simply say no, we're not going to have drones, we're not going to have data centers, we're not going to have robots in our community, in our area. Like it's not going to happen, kind of like the same way people have rebelled against like wind turbines. uh I don't know if anybody remembers wind turbines, but uh there were massive problems with the way that they sounded, and the way that they were um what the hell? They were like vibrating the air and the ground near people's homes and stuff like that. People who would live near these things would have a lot of problems. Um, and it's thinking about going out, in the with the more for the morning coffee and shotgunning drones out of the sky is a funny idea, but the FFA still exists and they will hammer your ass to the ground if you start sending bullets up into the air. Um, but if you could just say no, as a community, as your local government just uh, helps everybody out and decides to say no and not have those things anywhere near you. I think that's a better way to go.
It's an interesting point there. The AI data centers and the Iran war and everything else that's going on, which is really focused around these data centers, if we get right down to it, which is the back burner, something we can sort of touch on the side of. What I really wanted to look at is the depopulation element. I think this depopulation thing is like, it's massive, right? And I hope you guys like my thumbnail. Okay, let's get into the thumbnail. Let's get into it. Let's break that thumbnail down. Let's see where I'm going with the thumbnail. So I'm just going to open a page quickly and share it. No volume. There we go. Let's get it on the front here. So
You made all those kids so cute, though. Why wouldn't you want them running around?
All kids are cute. You're damn right about it. But there are a lot of really cute children in Africa that are being exterminated, by the economic warfare that we're suffering. Well, not Africa so much. I think Yemen is the massive place at the moment, which is Saudi Arabia backed and started. That war they created against the Yemenis people because they needed their port for oil sales. And the US backed them, and UK backed them, and Europe backed them. All the rich countries backed them because they're Saudi Arabia, right? They give us all oil. And so Yemen is a massive, obviously, we don't even have to discuss Palestine, right? We know what's going on in Palestine. We've seen the photographs. We've seen the drone footage. Their cities are rubble. And that means like washing your baby, feeding your baby, giving your baby clean water and food is obviously an issue because people are suffering. So we know that there's lots of different extermination points on the earth where they are doing black magic rituals, esoteric rituals to remove souls from the earth. Yeah, Jeremy.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I think I've mentioned this before on this channel, how uh how it really does seem like, specifically, like, especially the Gaza situation, which is a genocide. It's just a slower form of genocide than than the ancient days when they would just roll in there and cut off uh you know 80,000 heads in a day. But there's got the way there's got to be some sort of I think that anytime there's like one of these hotspots on the planet, right, of death and destruction and chaos and misery, uh there's I think there's something that feeds off of that and grows exponentially. And whoever's running that operation over there is like just like gaining more power with every life displaced, because it really does seem like the Israeli government is just insane in with bloodlust.
That's definitely the case. Most certainly is something that we have to look out for, and isn't even in question. And I always see the Israeli government as a Zionist movement, and the Zionist movement is not located in Israel. It's just Israel is its HQ. It's a global organization. I just wanted to jump into this repopulation story. I want people to understand the scale of what we're discussing here. So imagine Elon Musk, right? So on the books, officially, Elon Musk has 14 children, right? That's on the books. Now, we know that there's been situations where he's been on planes and he's been sued by waitresses or air hostesses because of him saying, hey, I'll buy you a racehorse if you have this with me, if you do these kind of sexual favors for me and let me have sex with you. And then he's probably cheeky and he says, oh, but don't worry, if I come inside you, I'll give you $5 million and make sure that I'll check in on you every 5 years, that you got everything you need and your kids in the best schools and everything. And so for a woman, that could be like, oh, wow, I could have Elon Musk as a sugar daddy. I wonder how many NDEs have been signed for illegitimate children that he didn't want his current partners and wives to find out about. This is just something off the back burner because we know that billionaires have exotic appetites, and there is evidence of his exotic appetite that have been captured, and he has ended up in court because of it. So how many didn't end up in court because of NDEs? And I bet you when you're worth that much money, you've got publicists that keep your back covered, the same as celebrities, right? In order to keep your company name and profile clean, because there's so many billions of dollars riding on it. So, but let's just go with the official number. So imagine that Elon Musk has had 14 children, and imagine this is a trend that the billionaires want to do. And I don't see any reason to believe it wouldn't be. Because if he had 14 kids, like my son's probably going to take after me like I took after my father, right? And very often you're going to find similar trends and similar attitudes and similar practices. If the father's a racist, the child will be a racist. If the father's a musician, the child will be a musician. It's not uncommon for things to travel through families. So let's just say hypothetically, in a situation like Elon Musk, especially with modern technology, it's possible for girls too. When you're a multi-billionaire, you can pay young teenage women to have your baby for you, right? So that you can keep your figure nice and supple. And this is typical with billionaire wives and women. They don't want to ruin their bodies. They want to stay young and fresh. They'll rather pay someone else to have their baby. It's much easier for them. It's less hassle. And they don't have to go through the pain of childbirth. Why should they do it when they can just pay someone else $1 million to do it for them? So this is something that is a thing. So with that in consideration, let's just say hypothetically that each generation of Elon Musk matched him for the same number of children. How many children do you think he's would have come into the world after Elon Musk's grandkids? Let's say 7 generations. Just off the top of your head, Jeremy, what kind of a number would you be looking at?
So
what do you think? 7 generations after Elon Musk's grandkids. If you were to throw a number into the air, what would you think? What kind of a population do you think that would raise, hypothetically?
I mean, if it's unbroken, you know, like I don't know, probably somewhere in the billions, 1 billion.
Okay, so
what do we got? What do we got? I'm not
okay,
good
let's
at math.
do this.
I know
this.
it gets crazy though.
So imagine Elon Musk's 14 children, each have 14 children, and so his his grandkids are 196, right?
Yeah.
Then we say times by 14. So the first generation after that would be 2,744.
Okay.
The second generation after that would be 38,000 plus.
Right.
The third generation after that would be 537,000. The fourth generation after that would be 7.5 million, 7.5 million. The fifth generation after that would be, is that 105 million? 105 million. The sixth generation after that would be 1.4 billion. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1.4 billion. And the seventh generation after that would be 20.6 billion.
Yeah.
And that's 7 generations after Elon Musk's grandkids. And that is just one man. Now, let's look at the bottom line. Elon Musk is not the only billionaire that is prodigiously breeding. So let's say Elon Musk only has 1/10 of that, right? 1/10. Then he's still populating 2 billion people on the planet. Let's say Elon Musk only has 1/20th of that. He's putting 1 billion heads on the planet. Let's say all the other billionaires are having their own prodigious breeding schemes. You could very easily see how the entire human race could be replaced by the billionaires within 7 generations of their grandkids. Now, 7 generations of their grandkids, what are we looking at? Let's say we take each generation, right, would be like 40 to 50, right? By that stage. Elon Musk's like, I think he had all these children by the time he turned 50 or before he turned 50. So let's say it's 40 to 50, which is what most people would use. That's their breeding age normally, especially when you're a billionaire, right? For the rest of us, it doesn't work like that because it costs money to have babies. But when you're a billionaire, that's not an option, right? You can just breed when you're like 18 or 19 because money's not an object. You can have as many kids as you want, and you don't ever have to worry about paying university or their futures or, setting them up in life. The rest of us have financial constraints, so we don't have like 50 kids because we can't. And also there's, responsibility like towards the human race, like how many children does the world need, right? Are we being greedy? But you can see how very quickly that could become a repopulation scheme of the rich. Let's say all the rich 1% billionaire families all did this to some degree. They could literally replace the human race within 300 years. Within 250 years, within less than 3 centuries, the human race can be replaced. How is that for something to think about? Like, I mean, not partially replaced, I mean replaced. Now, what would they have to do in order to make this a reality, right? They would have to exterminate the human race. And is that already happening? I mean, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to have to say no. Because, so if the plan is to, wipe out the Georgia Guidestone the planet and, wipe out, everyone who isn't in this class of people, and then replace them with, with the Musks, with the Musk family. Well, okay. So there's basic, there's basic realities to living, right? You gotta shit, you gotta eat, right? You gotta live under some shelter. You have to, gather resources and, keep the infrastructure going. And, you do all you gotta pick up the trash, and, you gotta milk the cows, and you gotta, uh, you know, do all these things. So there's always gonna be a hierarchy, right? So, the these billion the billionaire class, they don't want to touch, they don't want to touch the poopies, right? And I don't think I don't think the kids are going to want to touch the poopies either. So they're going to have to keep around um some sort of working class, or slave class, to manage all this sort of stuff. So not all of us are going to be wiped out. Also, I think that I think that are probably there are probably some systems in place, that are far beyond uh the capabilities of someone like Elon Musk, to mess with, right? So what's the net worth of Musk, right? Elon Musk, net
Must be a
worth.
third of a trillion, more than a third of a trillion.
Let's see here. It is approximately 839 billion. Okay.
Oh my God, it's more than doubled since I last looked at it. That's
Right.
ridiculous. I looked at it a
So
few years ago. It was like under 400. Oh my God.
yeah.
It's going to be a trillion soon.
Well, there's families out there. There's families out there that probably have multiple trillions, or at least in the asset class of multiple trillions of dollars, right? Like, in we've talked about this before, where, those the people, the world controllers, the ones who actually, own the water, right? They own the water. You're not they're above people like Elon. And people like Elon are like assets to them. And they can be controlled, right? Um think about why the whole Mars thing is off the table now. It's off the table. He doesn't really talk about it anymore. Either because uh he was like, I'm gonna go and I'm creating the technology to do so, and then was like, no, you're not. So, some hand descended down from the clouds and was like, well, you can't do that, or, they're doing it in secret or something like that. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that uh I think those type of people are operating within some constraints, you know. And I don't think a guy like Elon Musk is bold enough, or has the balls to actually take on the world, and fashion it in his image. Because I think that would take some sort of war.
I think he's definitely part of a regime. I don't think he's on his own. I think he's part of a collaboration. But having a trillion, close to a trillion of the world's currency is a significant chunk of money, right? It's a significant chunk of money to be in control of for one man. And that's on the books. I bet you he's got cryptocurrency that aren't on the books. I bet you, right?
And all that shit,
So-
that shit's controlled. Like the 800 billion. That's not like liquid cash you can just go around and throw around. That's that's assets and stuff like that. All of that shit is controlled. All that stuff can be deleted at any time. Crypto can be taken, right? I think when you get to that level, to that level of the game, you are extremely confined in what is possible. And in order, if you wanted to break out, break out of the system, basically, uh, it would take an intense amount of effort, and you'd be laying your life on the line immediately, and all your kids. I think that, so as far as the children, having all the multiple wives and the children, um I think somewhere down the line, Elon Musk read some books, or got some advice, or just realized that this was something he could do. And it's not any different from any other great man of history who had a lot of power, wealth, and fame, to uh to turn his sex addiction into actual families.
I just want to respond to what you were saying a minute ago.
Yeah.
And if you could just mute your mic while
Sure.
it sounds like there's a bit of disturbance on the StreamYard. I wonder if the people in the thing are experiencing. I hope not, but I find it makes less issues for the audio. Yeah, if there's two mics not active. Especially the laptop mics, they tend to be very broad sound. They pick up everything. So the reason I'm sharing this is this: we all saw this a while ago. China's dancing robots. How worried should be? This is an article from the Guardian newspaper in the UK, and anybody in the UK or that knows, the Guardian is like the best normie newspaper that there is. They're more conservative. They don't make like, whoa. It's not like the Daily Mail or that rubbish, which you can't even call news. So, okay, eye-catching martial arts performance at China Gala had viewers and experts wondering what else humanoids can do. And I won't push play, because if I push play, then I'm going to have YouTube like saying that this is like infringement. But you've all seen it. Go and take a look if you're interested. Just Google that, The Guardian and China's dancing robots, and you'll see the video for yourself. These robots can do everything that a martial artist in Kung Fu can do, and arguably they can do it as well. Arguably they can do it better because they're physically stronger, right? They're made out of metal. They can have hydraulic things. They could probably punch through a brick wall, right? Where a human being would have challenges punching through a brick wall. But this is just one example of these robots. And the display was impressive, but prompted some wonder. If robots can now dance and perform martial arts, what else can they do? So the experts have obviously got mixed opinions about this. Oh, by the way, that robot that they put on display has it's the same number and registration as the Terminator film robot. I don't know if you know that. So that's interesting. The film Terminator, that robot, that's what the registration model number of that robot is. It's a what is it, a T50 or a T40, whatever it is. I remember looking at that like 6 months ago or however long it was and thinking, wow. But so my point being this: they have AI systems, and big love and blessings to all of you in the chat. Welcome. Namaste. I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are thriving. We've got Gaz in the chat. We've got D Love. We've got Carly. We've got the Star. We've got Howard. We got Systems in the chat as well. And everybody else that's been in here. Big love and blessings to all of you. I hope you guys are well and thriving. Hope you guys are having a great, great day, and that it just keeps getting better. But yeah, back to the point I'm trying to make is we've got AI systems now with these robotics, right? Automated factories run by AI systems with robots that can do everything with their fingers and their hands that a human body can do, right? So there is literally nothing that they need human beings for on the planet anymore. They've got street sweepers. They've got chefs. They've got waitresses, they've got shopkeepers, they've got builders, right? They've then got automated factories that can make the cars drive themselves, right? They've got AI systems to run the grid, the electrical grid, and organize the water systems. They've even got AI systems that can that can help in the development of technology and the improvement of technology and troubleshooting technology. So they've got pretty much everything. The physical human is no longer required for the billionaires to live their lifestyle. We were important maybe a few decades ago on the books, but now we are 100% redundant. Now, in the event that they wanted to remove the human race, how would they do it? Would you think it would be an all-out war? I don't think so. I don't think they'll line us up and shoot us. No, I think what they would do is they would take a spray and put a spray on our food, right? And they'd probably start with something called Atrizine. Now, for those of you that don't know, Atrizine, let me show you. Atrizine is the most widely used germicide on Earth. I think it's the most widely used, and this is just one example of it. So what do they say here? While atrazine is one of the most widely used herbicides globally, calling it a germicide is a misnomer. Okay, excuse me, I'm not a chemical engineer. It's a chemical herbicide used specifically to control broadleaf weeds and annual grasses rather than the germicide. So it is called an agricultural staple, right? And it is sprayed primarily on crops like corn. Think of corn syrup. Think of corn oil. Sorghum, sugarcane. Think of sugar. Think of what everybody's eating. Corn and sugar, corn fat, corn oil. Corn is put into all the processed foods. So a lot of the human race is eating this. It is highly persistent in soil and groundwater, making it a frequent contaminator. I want you to understand that once it gets into the water, it's persistent. It doesn't want to leave, right? It is classified as an endocrine disruptor and has been shown to cause birth defects and adverse reproductive effects in wildlife. Now, those are the official research papers. For those of you that are interested, atrazine induces complete feminization and chemical castration in male African clawed frogs. This is one of the things that Alex Jones was talking about, and everybody was joking, laughing at him. He was going, yeah, man, people, it's making the frogs gay, all that story. And he was like, they're exterminating you. Yeah, Alex Jones. He's apparently fake. He's apparently part of their crew. But he's been warning us for decades that they're trying to exterminate the human race and that they are doing it in a very careful and mechanically subtle way. They are putting it into our food. Now, this particular herbicide is sprayed onto just about most of the soil. Once it's in the soil, it's persistent. It gets into the groundwater. It gets into everything. So our food is basically laced with this. Now, what else do we know about this, right? What else do we know, right? So we know it disrupts the aromatase enzyme, right? Now, the research proves that it disrupts aromatase, and this has got to do with testosterone production in males, right? We know this. This is what the research proves. Now, if you Google, the AI will tell you that it's not proved to be dangerous for humans. Okay, let's use our own intelligence, right? They don't want us to figure out how dangerous this stuff is, right? Because if we do, we'll demand that they stop using it, right? There's a reason why they're using it, not just because it's cheap, but, and this is what we're talking about, the billionaires control all of this. So we know that this aromatase enzyme is disrupted, and this is what causes the production. This is what causes the feminizing effects in animals. So it's not just frogs. They've done research in other wildlife animals as well. The really important question that we want to ask is the next intelligent question. Do humans have this hormone? Because if this substance disrupts that hormone, and that hormone is important for testosterone production, do humans have this hormone that this substance can disrupt? And the obvious answer to that is yes. Humans have aromatase. It is not a hormone in itself. Sorry, it's an enzyme responsible for converting androgens like testosterone into estrogens, right? So we can see how feeding this to the human race, why it has a feminizing effect on men and has a particularly, it over-estrogenizes the woman's body. Now, there is another thing that's very, 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 very common, right? And the other thing that's very, very, very common, right, is, where is it? Okay, so xenoestrogens. Let's go. Xenoestrogens affects women's fertility and men's. So the other thing that they are basically pumping into our systems, into our water, everywhere, is xenoestrogens. These are just two examples, right? It's a foreign synthetic plant-derived chemical compound that mimics hormonal estrogen in the body. What this causes in women is it causes them to become overly estrogenated. That causes endometriosis. It causes the egg cells not to want to stick to the lining of the uterus, so they get flushed out. It basically disrupts birth and very often can cause birth defects. Right. So we know for a fact that the xenoestrogens is everywhere. You cannot live in this world in a city without taking in xenoestrogens. You cannot. If you're eating a lot of foods, it's especially high concentrations in a lot of the food that they're pushing. All of the soya in the meat, all of the soya in a lot of the processed foods is all xenoestrogen rich. We know the other one, the atrazine, is pretty much in all of our foods. Imagine livestock that are being fed xenoestrogens and atrazine, right? Imagine them for a moment. And imagine these livestock are then basically eating this and eating this and eating this for a long, long time, storing it up in their fat cells, right? And then you cook the meat and that gets released into your meat when you eat it, right? Or the fat that isn't cooked, you eat that fat. You're taking in high concentrations of xenoestrogens and atrazine, one whack, because they use the soya and the feed. So if you're eating meat, you're probably getting a double hit, right? If you're eating a vegetarian diet, you're probably getting a very rich hit unless you really soak your vegetables in warm water, but still you probably can't avoid it. So we know that they are flooding all of our systems with these. Now, you might not see the effects in one generation so prominently, but you might start to see more of the effects in the second generation. By the third generation, it might be becoming a bit of an issue. By the fourth generation, it might be a problem. By the fifth generation, it might be a severe problem. By the sixth generation, it might be actually stopping us from being able to breed. But not a problem, is it? Because we know that within 7 generations, they can replace us. So is this a deliberate takeover of planet Earth? Are they using our food and our water supply? And I've just named 2 examples, right? Microplastics also has a affects fertility. And there are a list of chemicals as long as your arm that we could go and find in sight that affect human fertility that's in our food and in our water. We need to take it, like we need to pay attention to this, right? And just because it hasn't hit us yet doesn't mean it won't. It's like, a lot of people, they might be like, well, I ate McDonald's yesterday, I'm still healthy. I've been eating McDonald's for the last 2 years, I'm still healthy. Yeah, mate, wait until you're 50. Let's see how your heart's beating, right? If you live on a McDonald's diet, let's see how healthy you are by the time you get to 60. Let's see whether you're living on like a machine. having to replace your organs with synthetic organs. So you can get away with eating McDonald's once in a while. You can get away with it eating it for a month, but you can't live on it. And in the same way, we might be getting away with what these poison toxin levels are in our food and in our water and in our surroundings. But there will come a point where the saturation will reach a certain level and humans will no longer be able to defend themselves again. And so I think there is definitely an extermination of the human race that is already happening. And since COVID-19, you will notice that the deformities of babies and the miscarriages have gone through the roof, exponentially greater. So they've even got vaccines, right? The vaccines also affect fertility. And now they're pushing the vaccines on the newborn children, 20 vaccines by the time that baby turns 1. If we do vaccinate our babies the way they want us to, that by the time your child turns like 5, they've had like 40 vaccines, right? By the time the child turns 18, they've had like 100 vaccines. By the time that child turns 30, 20% of their ability to procreate is decreased. And what about their children and their children's children? It will get to the point where not everybody will be able to have babies. So this is what I think is happening. I think they are exterminating the human race. They're doing it slowly. They are using poisons and toxins in foods. They're using the FDA. They are using all of these other control the farming by super farming, corporate farming, Monsanto's. And while they're doing that, they are breeding to replace us. And they've got AI and robotic systems in place to pick up the workload. I don't know. Is that really that far-fetched?
No, I think everything that you're saying about the food and stuff is 100%. I think you have to think about it. Yeah, well, of course, the food is not good. Like the food, like if you like when I say the food, I mean you go into a Target or a Walmart or your local grocery store, and you start reading labels on a lot of the stuff that they have in stock, and pretty much everything has, let's just say, high fructose corn syrup, which is, it's like sugar. It's this distillate from corn, and too much sugar in your body, and not enough movement combined with a sedentary lifestyle, you're gonna get fat, right? If you get fat, you're inflamed, and if you're inflamed, you feel like crap, and if you feel like crap, then you're probably gonna try to relieve that feeling by taking some medicine, and so on and so forth, and thus with enough people like this, you uphold an institution, which is the medical institution and the pharmaceutical institution and the cancer institution and all this other stuff, which are topped by people who just want these systems to keep running, right? Because of the money, right? Because the god of money is real, and wants your blood, and it's hard for the human being. So I mean, the human being has just like kind of a very basic physiology and psychology, and it's easy to hack, right? Because we all want the same thing, right? What is it? The hierarchy of needs is very real. And so food is delicious, and the things that taste the best, we will orient ourselves towards and consume, right? And it takes a lot of self-discipline to just forgo all that stuff and stay on this very narrow path of nutrition, and not a lot of people can do that, because life overall is just very stressful at the moment, because you got to pay the bills, and you got to work, you got to pay the bills. Kids need daycare. You have car payments and just taxes in general, and you got to work, and your wife has got to work, and it's exceedingly difficult to remove yourself from the system, and and live in such a way that you can offset, right, the debilitating effects of like the war against you as a human being. Because I think after COVID, after the wake up call, which was COVID, right? The pandemic, or whatever you want to call it. I think by this point, if you should understand that that was something that was done to you by other people. And you start from there, and work your way backwards, and see where you get. But I think the population, like, it doesn't help if the population is being controlled through the food, by our physical and mental degradation over time, leading to early deaths, and a general lowering of IQ and testosterone and things like that. Excuse me. Shit, I lost my train of thought, but another thought came to my mind. Look, the most dangerous thing to the systems of control on this planet Earth are high testosterone, well organized men, young men, because they can get together and form war bands and completely fuck their shit up, right? So lowering the testosterone from a very young age, and feminizing men, keeps them weak and docile, all the things, right? Which is, and for the last couple decades or so, you've seen this rise, and what is that word, that catchphrase, toxic masculinity, right? The toxic masculinity. You got the toxic masculinity, and you got the whoredom of women. Those two things combined are the playbook for our not necessarily our destruction, but our enslavement. To keep their system running as smoothly as possible for them. For the people who run all these systems. Because if you, like I said, if you have tight knit communities of high testosterone men, that is extremely hard to break up. Like you have to go kinetic. And when things go kinetic, things go extremely messy. You get extremely messy. Yeah. That's exactly right. I'm glad you put that up there, because a high level, exactly. High levels of testosterone in men keep them, exactly like I said, keep them stable, calm, and happy. Really. Testosterone will make you happy.
And men get angry and erratic when they're too high or too low.
When they're too high in estrogen.
Well, or testosterone. If it's too much or too little, it causes irritability. It's got to be that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Toby-Wan Kenobi, did you want to say something, bro?
What's up, guys? Yeah, sorry, I'm only half here today. What's up, Jeremy? Because I'm kind of working in between talking when I can. and I've been making notes. Yeah, just with the etymology of cyberkinetic, because you mentioned kinetic, and I've just looked up what it means, and it means motion or movement. Well, cyber is like psi, which is the psyche, and ber is like when you're cold. So cyberkinetic, like this kind of technology that they're creating for us to merge with, is isolation. It's like being frozen, like the coldness of the psyche, the cyber kinetic. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And yeah, it's interesting because you mentioned Alex Jones a little while ago. I'm just reading from my notes, that's why my camera's not up. Alex Jones' dad was in the CIA, and there's a reason Alex Jones spoke about Atrizine, because a scientist, a very credible scientist, was going to come out with the information. So Alex Jones, being an insider, came out with it first. So he was like the fool, the jester, going, "Oh, they're telling the frog's gay," and then, you know, some people listened to him, but because he's a comedian, most didn't, and there's a reason that he came out with that. Lots of information he does come out with is true, but he's controlled opposition 100%. The same as Andrew Tate, who's talking about testosterone and toxic masculinity. Like Andrew Tate's dad was also in the CIA. So these people, like Elon Musk, is just one of the many foot soldiers, and there's many different levels. You have Andrew Tate being another one. What's interesting about Elon Musk is that Elon Musk, not so long ago, tried to get Stephen Yapsley, aka Tommy Robinson, to become the Prime Minister of the UK. And Elon Musk has been funding him, and he actually bailed him out of prison, I believe. And there were, in the Epstein files, there was letters from Epstein saying how cheap Tommy Robinson was. Well, Elon Musk is just like another Epstein, messing around with like trying to have as many kids as possible, probably messing around with genetics and stuff. He works for him, I'm sure of it. Whoever Epstein works for, Musk works for as well. And then Tommy Robinson is a lower foot soldier. But what's interesting about this whole X is that it's a cross, and Christ died on the cross. Well, Christ being Christ consciousness, or like the Christos, like our awareness, that is dying on the cross, which is X, which is Elon Musk's brand, basically. The Christos, the Christ, our consciousness is being suppressed by this tech. Like people glued to screens online, Twitter, Facebook, they're just there for people to have arguments, to extract our energy so we don't focus on the real world. And it's interesting with the Tesla bot you were talking about earlier. Did you notice that Joe Biden looked like a Tesla bot? That Joe Biden was one of those machines, and I'll tell you why. Because I've seen a video, which I've been trying to find for a while, of him walking. There's one video of the Tesla bot and one video of Joe Biden. They're the same. There were so many instances where Joe Biden didn't speak. What's happening is that they're trying to merge machines and humans, but it's not just implanting machines in us, it's having them walk amongst us. So first they need to make us less human, which they've been doing for a long time. And then they're going to kind of slowly bring out these machines like they have done now. The whole they, them, machines will be called they. Machines won't be called he or she. They'll be called they. They need to change the language. They need to make they're already making brainless clones. MIT, like, you can read a document, search up brainless human clones. Yeah, they're making them. You know, some people seem brainless, but they're literally making vessels for these machines to enter. And at the same time, they're trying to merge these machines with people. But 100% Joe Biden was a machine, because he couldn't speak quite a lot of the time, because these machines, you know, they probably haven't perfected the voice yet. But I think that this whole kind of suppression of humanity, this division, this whole like disclosure, being aliens, like getting us to look up and look out, it's bullshit. The aliens are already here, and it's this technology. This kind of off-world, what's alien is like isn't human. They're already inside some of these people. Like Elon Musk is a moon child. If you search up, it will say no, he's not a Cancer, he's a Gemini, and then it will say his birthday is a Cancer. So he's a moon child. There was a whole ritual done with his birth. There's probably rituals done with his children's birth as well. And what's happened is that these so-called elites, these parasites, and even like secret societies now, which inversion from what they used to be, they do rituals, they do ceremonies, but we don't. Most people don't, and there's power in that. There's magic in that. And what they've done is they've mechanized our magic. We have technology, which is just these kind of thinking machines, and now we don't feel like we have to think. Most people, this technology does it all for us, but we're at a crossroads, certainly, and this X is just the crux of the crossroads. And then the whole Christ dying on the cross, yeah, in the past there might have been somebody called Yeshua, who died on the cross, but right now the collective consciousness is dying. By dying I mean changing. It's being changed on this X on this cross, and we're at a crossroads of a crossroads of a crossroads. There's on so many levels. But it's super interesting that this whole machines merging with humans merging with machines. We can see this happening now, but what they need to do is they need us to become more machine-like first, because we're too chaotic as humans. This is why they need digital ID. They need 15-minute cities. They need so much in place to further their plans. And going to Mars, Elon Musk saying he's not going to do that anymore, is because we're already at war. His whole thing was like a kind of stepping stone of like not literally going to the planet Mars, but just trying to summon Marduk, like this ancient egregore or being or whatever. I think they've succeeded in summoning Marduk. Now they just need to make this entity into flesh, into machine. They tried doing that with COVID. Tried putting off-world beings into bodies. They died instantly. There's just a lot going on, basically. So yeah. So it's a bit all over the place there. So I've been writing notes, so it's a bit like ad hoc.
No, that was great, man. Hey, there was someone in the chat here, DLove3636. I think it's a question asked, is all resistance futile? And the answer is no, of course not. Like there is a war against you and your spirit, and you need to be aware of it and actively fight against it. But just the fact that you can fight against it means that it's not futile at all. Like there's like the way the universe works is like there are a set of laws, God's law, natural law. Like there's a way that it works, and because you're here as a human being, you can orient yourself perfectly with that law. And part of that is your resistance to the evil that works against you. And that resistance is, it's like either you can be part of the resistance, or you can do nothing, or you can be a part of the other side. And those three things are eternal. That's what this place is. All that kind of there's that war is going to go on for forever. But you get to choose what you do, like here and now. And and hopefully, you choose resistance.
I'm just been sharing a couple of things while you guys have talked that's relevant to what's being said. Resistance being futile. That started with Miss Doctor Who, right? In the 60s and the 70s. When was it? I don't know when it was. 1976, right? And those were those robots that were trying to take over. So there were a race of intelligent robots that were at war with the Time Lords and humanity and wanted to exterminate humanity and take over the world, right? Doctor Who, 1976. Then they did the Terminator film. Sorry, then they did the Star Trek, right? And in the Star Trek, you have the Borg. Now, the Borg are basically a race of AI, robotic cyborg beings that go around absorbing humanity and all other races into the cyborg infrastructure so that they become part of a hive mind controlled by an AI system. I mean, you can't make this up, right? This is what they've been training us for like decades. Since the 70s, they have been training us with the unconscious idea that resistance against transhumanism is futile. That there's a reason why they were training us, right? This is really good to know, right? Like if you're in a fight with an opponent and they look at you and they say, you don't stand a chance against me, they're scared. Because they had to say that, right? If they're not scared and they know you don't stand a chance, why would they have to tell you don't stand a chance against them? They want you to believe that you don't stand a chance against them because they're actually scared of you. Otherwise, they wouldn't have to say a word. They'd just be like, yeah, I'm not really bothered about this. Like, I'd rather avoid this, but whatever, So the fact that they've been entraining us and programming us and trying to put these catchphrases into our unconscious with regards to transhumanism is because they know that humanity could at any moment flip the switch on them and say, nah, we don't need transhumanism. We're shutting it down. We don't need AI. We're shutting down the data centers. And who the heck are these billionaires? And why do they own everything? We're just going to take everything back from you because you don't really own it. Nah, you've been cheating us with the fake economic system for like decades, and we now figured out what's happening. We're going to reappropriate all of that extra money. Yeah, you can keep 10 million, that's fine, but the rest we're taking. All the infrastructure, everything you own, we're taking it, and we're giving it to humanity. And this is going to help make the world a better place. So namaste, Zephi and Otigili. It's been a while, Otigili. How are you doing, man? Sending you big love. So at any point, humanity could flip the switch. And I think it's not just that resistance is futile. It's that if we resist, their campaign is futile. I think that's really what it is. The real futility is them. What we've got is a small group of people that are manipulating us because we believe that we can't do anything. The moment humanity stands up and goes, you know what? We've had enough. You're not spraying our food with that anymore. We're done with it. Oh, Monsanto's is insisting. Here we go. We'll just nationalize everything. We'll take everything away from Monsanto's. Now you don't exist anymore. In fact, we'll take Monsanto's license away from them. They don't exist. Why? How are you going to do that? Well, we've got people with guns that are going to come to your factories and chase your employees away and tell them they don't work there anymore and take over the property. And this is going to happen in every state. And if you don't like it, then, and by the way, if the government or the police think you're going to get involved, everybody is going to come and support them. The entire community will be there. So the police will be having to point guns at their own family. Don't think it's going to happen, buddy.
That's coming. Yeah, I mean, I think everything you're saying is definitely coming, because I think that there's a lot of people. I think there's a lot of well-armed, organized people that have come from certain types of backgrounds, who spent a great deal of their life, overseas running guns, and came back and nearly died from mental trauma, got healthy, and started to figure out that they were lied to in a very tragic way. And I think a lot of those people have been are very smart and have been paying attention for a long time, and have the ability to organize and influence in a positive way a lot of people that around them into active cells of resistance. And even just normal everyday people are uh they're just think about the money. Like your money just doesn't go as far as it used to, you know, even within your own lifetime. And you look at, like, I'm 40, and a lot of people my age, they look at what their parents had, and they look at what is available to them, and we're like, what the hell's going on? And eventually, when the pain gets strong enough, people are going to start, overturning the table. Why, they're going to be like, well, why why what, I wasn't sure where I was going to go with that, but I think you get my point. um I think I have to go. I think people are starting to wake up upstairs.
Well,
Um,
brother, just to make your point,
yeah,
Elon Musk's worth was 400 billion in 2024. He's
yeah,
more than doubled his net worth in 2 years. That
yeah.
money came out of our pockets, humanity's.
Well, I mean, I would say that, I mean, I'm not, I'm not gonna say that Elon Musk doesn't make his money in a legitimate way, that's legal. However, I will say that when people that are that wealthy do not then turn around and start bringing up everyone around them, that bring, like we're the commons, okay? People like us, the people that we're talking to, people in the chat, we're the commons. And when the elites above us, mess around and play around with the systems of the world, we're the ones that always suffer. However, there's more of us than them, and we decided, when the commons decides that we've had enough, we band together and we take them out, right? We storm the castle, we guillotine guillotine the rulers, and then, hopefully we have something in place and there's not like decades of wanton anarchism and bloodshed. But um there what we're looking for is some sort of, what is it called? No, I'm gonna butcher this, but like nobles, the obligation of the nobles uh to, cater to the commons. Like, we need people that have the means, have the money, have the influence, um to bring about some sort of wealth for the commons, and and take the boot off our neck, financially, agriculturally, um all that sort of stuff. So anyways, I gotta go. I'll talk to you guys later.
Well, bless you, dear brother. It's been an honor having you. Thank you for bringing your insight and your heart to the space. Always love your energy. Always love your consciousness. And I hope your little one enjoys her dance class, man.
Absolutely.
Ballet. So
Yeah,
big love to her. Big love to you. Big love to her, mommy. How's your partner doing? How's Lauren? Is she well?
she's doing very good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And you are too, I'm sure. I haven't seen any of your sword nunchucks tricks, but you'll have to keep them coming. You should get your YouTube going where you show the world some of your
I'm working
training
on it, man. I'm working on
Yeah,
it.
man. Yeah, man. Big
All right.
love, dear brother.
All right,
Om
love you
Shanti.
guys.
Love you too.
Take
Take
care,
care, man.
Yeah.
Take
bless.
it easy.
Yeah, brother.
So I've just searched up about Daleks, because what was coming to me was dialectic when I was thinking of dialects, like communication, speaking, like the mind. So what's interesting with the dialects is that they have massive intellect, like very sort of like mind. They have an exterminated gun which looks like a whisk, like literally, like, because when you mentioned them, like whenever they use their weaponry, they always say exterminate, like the words of what have power. Like there's this mind virus which is making us think that we're going to be exterminated. And then they have a manipulator arm, which is like a plunger arm as well. So it's basically they just manipulate people's minds, and they're like a little brain in a in some armor. And I was just searching up ways you defeat Daleks, and it says by disrupting their force fields, targeting their eye stalks, or using high yield explosives, which is very interesting. But yeah, it's like these Daleks are like little brains in these machines, and I think that the way you overcome a Dalek or something that lacks any emotion is by perhaps not resisting it, but just using emotion, using your energy in motion. You know, rather than fighting it like head on, because I think that their armor is probably stronger. But like, I think it sounds so cliche, but with like armor meaning amour, which is love in French, that's our force field, and that's the force field which these machines, these entities, whatever, or egregore rather, is trying to deplete. It's trying to deplete our force field so that it can get into us, so that it can manipulate us. Because some people can be manipulated, but not all people. And I think that the powers that be, whatever, they need a certain percentage, like probably quite a lot, to be able to carry out their plans for global dominance. Like, we think we're dominated at the moment. Really, they're trying to do everything that they can. This is why we constantly have all of these psyops. Like, even think of viruses like monkeypox, that went away, meningitis, that went away, now it's Ebola. They're just trying to constantly pushing this narrative of like of fear and trying to inject us with stuff. So like, I guess resistance isn't the right word, because that kind of implies that they already have power. It's like saying, oh, they're taking our rights away. It's like, that kind of implies that we're given rights in the first place, and we are. But really, our rights shouldn't be given to us. We have a inherent right which can't be given to us or taken away. So I wouldn't call it resistance. Perhaps there's another word we can use for that.
Yeah, the word that we used to use in the UK activism, which you're going to like, is called
Rebellion.
No, we had a really good phrase that we use. It's called public. It's basically a word that means that we won't behave. You know, when your child is misbehaving, what's that word? One word that implies like they're not going to follow the rules. Public. Anyway, that's what we got to do. We just don't follow the rules. It's that simple. We don't follow the rules. We don't do what we're told. Right? If we don't do it, imagine people just stop doing what they're told. Right? Like everybody. How are you going to govern a population that doesn't do what they're told? Think about it. It's just like it's not gonna work. And so that's really what we got to do. We just got to ignore the laws and follow our own moral compass as a humanity, and do what we know in our hearts is right, and find community guidelines that we as communities facilitate and agree upon, having no officiality and official. So basically what we're talking about is true anarchy, right? Because people believe that anarchy has no rules. That's not true. Anarchy has no rules orchestrated by a central body. But within anarchist systems, there are still consensus between the people that people agree, right? This isn't okay. But it's a consensus managed by the people, and there's no administrative body to administrate those rules. It is done by the people, for the people, of the people. And that's like really what true anarchy is. And a lot of people don't appreciate and understand this. So I think like that's really like the key. One thing I wanted to point out here, of what Jeremy was talking about a minute ago, and I think it's so important. We were talking about the money and Elon Musk and all these billionaires. And I'm using Elon Musk as an example here. I just want you guys to see this, right? So why has Elon Musk doubled his money? In other words, how did Elon Musk make more than an average of, I think in the last year, Elon Musk has made more than $250 billion in the last year. How do you make $250 billion in a year? What do you do? Well, let's take a look. Let's dive into this. So Elon Musk has on the surface not been supporting stable coins. Now, for people that don't understand this, and I don't want this to become too political or economically focused, but stable coins are basically the US's way to get out of debt. They get everybody else trading, acknowledging their stable coins, and they then tether the stable coins to their currency, right? And they crash the currency, the US dollar. The stable coin becomes the new currency, and crashing the dollar, their debts were in US dollars. And in the process of this transition, they're getting everybody else to invest money, well, through the use and through the backing of stable coin to basically back their debts. So they've got the whole world paying the debts off. And it's very ingeniously organized the way these stable coins work. For those of you interested, go out there and research it. There's a whole story behind the stable coins. Now, on the surface of it, on the face of it, Elon Musk is not backing the stable coins, right? However, when we look a little bit deeper, so Elon Musk wants X wants to become a native fiat payments system. I want you to look at that, which means he's in bed with the US Treasury and the US government, right? Which is now going to become X money, right? And his ambition is to transform X into an everything app, right? So that it's got integrated financial systems, market speculation, frequency, everything that it can be trading. Now, with this in mind, there's a lot of speculation following the legislative discussions such as Stable Act in the US, right? And the Stable Act in the US is really got to do with the transparency and the accountability for better ledger economy and all of this. It's a comprehensive piece of US writing that he's been sort of pushing. And you remember the story with him and Trump, before him and Trump had like a bad date. Elon Musk and Trump got together. That was basically a way for US to pull their funding for transsexual people. So the US was funding transsexual people all around the world, and they were giving people money to get operations and giving people money to get free drugs so that they could promote the boys becoming girls and the girls becoming boys, right? They spent a lot of money on the advertising campaigns and the promotion of these ideals on one hand. And on another hand, they backed it with actual investment and money. So most of the money that was canceled, a lot of the money that was canceled was money that was being given to all the countries around the world, which were basically using that money to help change the sexes of human beings. So they promoted this idea and then they pulled the funding. And they couldn't just pull the funding because it would be such a hot potato politically. So they had to get Elon Musk involved because he's a corporate person who's come there to save the US economy. And Trump was able to hide behind his shadow, and they were able to pull the money. And now you've got all these people that have had sex changes all around the world, and they're basically being sold out the creek because now their own government's taxpayers have to pick up the bills, or else you got a constitutional problem in every country. All those people that have had sex changes not being able to afford the drugs necessary to maintain, and they would just basically, like flies, they would fall over and that'd be the end of them. So there's a whole big story behind what's been going on with Trump and the US government over the last year and a half, 2 years. And we've seen, sorry, did I say Trump? I mean Musk. And we've seen how Musk is embedded. Now Musk, once again, is pushing this idea of Twitter becoming becoming something that can basically trade in money. And the stable coins are really a big part, you see. So the implications are that tech leaders were to launch stable coin on X, right? This is coming, people. This is coming. Stable coin will be on X. Now, why this is important is because X has got billions of users. And if they can push stablecoin on X, I'm pretty sure that Facebook will be next and everywhere else will be trading stablecoin, which means that stablecoin will be the next global currency, which means that that'll be the way that the US writes off all their debt. But in the process of Musk being a part of this engineering idea, he's making money. Now, where does that money come from to write off the debts of the US government, which has really funded all of the wars that we've been watching over the last couple of decades, few decades? Right? 5 decades, whatever. There's been a lot of wars. US is always involved, right? Ukraine is one of the most notable ones. And Israel. Who do you think gives Israel money to bomb the Palestinians, right? All of that money is going to be paid for by all of the rest of us. Our tax government, tax dollars are going to pay for all of those wars and all of the interest that the banks have taken for all of those wars, which means that the inflation on every country will be high. This is why we're experiencing massive inflation, everybody. That's why the price of our food is going up. And it's why Elon Musk happens to have made more than $250 billion US in the last year. That's how you make more than $250 billion US. So actually, Elon Musk literally has made more than half of his fortune off of all of our disfortune. And we are paying for it when we put fuel in our cars, buy food for our children, pay rent, buy electricity. We are paying. And a portion of that money that we are paying goes directly to Elon Musk because he has contracts with the US Treasury and the government, because he's going to become the face that pushes out these stable coins, and they need these stable coins pushed, or else the US debt is a serious problem. So this is just an example of a very subtle trade war between China and the US that Trump found a backdoor out of, using his butt-slamming buddy, Elon Musk, as a co-conspirator. And then, of course, Musk and Trump had to have a little bit of a lover's spat. And because it's all for the camera. Let's face it, it's all for the camera. It's not real. In order for Musk to then step back and be neutral, but then decide that, you know what, stable coin's a good idea for Twitter. And the moment that happens, it becomes the global sort of next currency. So watch the space and understand later why Trump made so much money, because Trump signed contracts and made agreements with the US Treasury and the government and all of the corporate structures that are related to the government and all of the military contracts. Why is Musk made so much money? Well, airplanes, space, weapons, Musk has got a huge connection with the US. And so there are a lot of contracts. There are a lot of monies changing hands backstage. And a lot of those monies are taxpayers' monies that are going into Trump's pockets on the say-so that the global community is going to pick up that bill and pay the other bills. So there's a lot to look at this space when it comes to the financial sort of story that we're all witnessing and just exactly how this works. Are you busy, Toby? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna have to shoot off in a sec. But yeah, Elon Musk is kind of making himself out to be the savior archetype, because him and Sam Altman had a bit of a tiff over OpenAI, because Elon Musk wanted OpenAI to have restrictions or something like that. And then Elon Musk has obviously funded Tommy Robinson. He's been on the big screen on the so-called freedom marches here in the UK. So yeah, he's just making himself out to be a kind of savior archetype. But yeah, as Altruition says, it's a controlled demolition. And what's happening is that they're gonna crash the economy, and then he's going to be the savior and probably be the one peddling the universal basic income. So yeah, I mean, I don't understand how people can like Elon Musk. Really, he's just a front man as well. I don't think he actually makes anything. He doesn't make anything. He just steals, and he's just like the face of a brand. He's the face of X, but he's not really the one behind it. He's just like a puppet, somebody for people to like get behind. And it's interesting you mentioned with the Trump and Elon Musk, they're kind of their falling out they had. It's theatre. It's all theatre. It's wrestling. I think Trump used to be in the WWE or something, I've heard, and now he's actually making a ring inside or just outside the White House. Obviously, the whole situation with the ballroom as well, and that whole kind of scripted event, so that he could make another ballroom inside the White House. It's all a show. It's all a show. And I don't know to what extent I actually believe what kind of technologies they have. I mean, I think they do have those robots, because Biden was clearly one. But I mean, we have way much more power than we're made out to believe. And I think that they fear that. They run on fear, and they need us to be on their vibration of fear. And they want us fighting each other. They want to create this resistance.
I totally agree, brother. You know, they're running us on fear, and they need us to be afraid in order for them to be able to apply their trades, because we are incredibly powerful. And I want to point this out to people. If you haven't watched, somewhere in the autobiography of Shaman that I put out there, you will see how I talk about how I have personally been party to the disruption of psychotronic technology using nothing but mind. And I prevented an abduction by doing this. And it wasn't just something that I experienced. It was witnessed by somebody else who was there as well. So who spoke to me about it afterwards. So it wasn't in my mind or in my imagination. It's really stuff that happens. We have the ability to bring our consciousness into a central point if we train to learn to concentrate deeply. The concentration. By the way, I really broke this down. Go and look at the previous live. It was done last night. What was that live called? It was a seminal discussion. Probably one of the best occult-based discussions that you will find anywhere on the web. And I don't say this lightly. You will never find this kind of information anywhere in a book. It's called The Shaman's Path, Soul Energy and Manifestation. And in that, I really break this down. I break it down in a way that you might want to watch it chunk by chunk and go back and meditate and contemplate on the things that I share. But you can't find this information anywhere. It doesn't exist. It's not in books. And I also go after ripping new ALs for all those people that are promoting the PSYOP nonsense that's been fed to us by the occult communities in books, by people that control the press. So, for people interested in understanding how concentration works, what the mental influence, how it relates to the physical manifestation of space-time, this is something you're going to want to watch. Go and check that particular show out. You might find it really, really, really interesting. Just so you can see where it is. Here, I'll give you a show. You look here and you see, if you go to my channel, right, you'll end up here. If you go there where it just says Bush Whisperer, you'll end up here. You just click on live. And here you will see the esoteric gangsters. And the next one will be the shaman's path, soul energy. And when you take a look at that, you'll get an insight of just exactly how concentration operates, what it is, what's the fundamental potential that you're shifting when you learn to concentrate your mind, and how that ties into this physical emanation of so-called physicality that we call physical reality. I break it down from Vedic, Western mysticism, Kabbalistic roots, Hermetic Kabbalah, Hermetics, the Hermetic principles, and put it into a context that can be understood by just basic psychology, and also to understand the metaphysics behind how the structure works. If you're interested, go and check that live out. It's quite a drop. I wasn't planning on going on a live. I just felt I needed to talk about these things, and those are the times that I really channel some fairly intense, profound wisdoms with regards to the occult, witchcraft, esoteric magic, school of thought. But yeah, getting back to this particular topic, I do think that we are really dealing with magicians. We're dealing with witches. We're dealing with gangster magicians, sorcerers that are really shaping our attitudes, making us believe, that nonsense, right? That total utter nonsense. That sorry, that was not what I wanted to bring up. That basically we are not able to fight them. That resistance is futile. That's where this started with the Daleks, right? Started with the Daleks, and then Star Trek and the Borg and the AI. They want us to believe that we can't fight them. Oh, but baby, we can. If you practice austere meditation and you learn to develop your concentration, I'm telling you that the AI will not be able to process your mental currents. They will be scanning you through the technology around you. Make no mistake. They will be trying to scan you and profile you using the technology, using all the gadgets that you buy and put in your house and the other gadgets that they put up there, your smart TVs and what have you, even the lights. They will be using this to scan your brain waves and to be able to get an idea of what's going on in your mind. However, if you learn to develop your ability to concentrate and focus and hold intent and take charge of your mental energy sphere, you will be able to influence physical matter in a way that you might not even realize that you can. We have within us the potential to change reality because we are manifesting reality through our consciousness field right now. That manifestation is the key to reality. And this is the key to understanding the three elements of alchemical wisdom, which is really the three worlds of the shaman, which is really, Atzilut and Beriah and Yetzirah that formulate the Asiya of this world of the Guf and the Malkut, the physical reality. And this is also the mysteries of understanding how the Shashumna splits to make the Ida and the Pingala that becomes the cohesion of these two elements, physical reality, which is the causal body splitting to make the astral and the etheric. Then the astral moving through the etheric is what we experience as physical reality. And these four elements, born of these three worlds, is universal to every occult philosophical system. every practice of mysticism, shamanism, wherever you look, it's the same fundamental truth. An understanding that you cannot find the knowledge in books because the books have been written by gentlemen that read books that didn't practice, that were written by other gentlemen that read books that didn't practice. And when I say didn't practice, they practiced a little, but they didn't practice enough, right? It's like somebody who did a little bit of carpentry in their basement, but they didn't actually work as carpenters. They don't really know much about carpentry. They watched a few YouTube videos, did a little bit of carpentry at home, and they figured out now they can be carpenters and make their own YouTube videos about carpentry, but they're not carpenters. This is what most of the books on the occult and the esoteric and the magic and the witchcraft is out there, unfortunately, and they're all copying the same BS that's been written by all the other people for the last 200 years. We need to recognize that this takeover has been planned for centuries, and that the little boys club that has been planning this takeover has been using the printing press to control us. Aleister Crowley, #1 disinformation artist, gangster, out there to delude the human race. He probably didn't even know he was being used and manipulated because he was so high all the time on drugs. Probably found it hard to know which woman he was supposed to have sex with on which day, you know? So I think like when we start to recognize and realize just exactly where we're at and how much psyop there is, it's sad and it's scary. And one more thing. And I pointed this out earlier, and I'm just going to say it now, right? Those of you who watched The Terminator, the T-800 is Arnold Schwarzenegger. The original T-800 is the original Terminator. It could work like a human being, do like a human being. It could fool us into believing it was a human being, but it was an assassin. Now, China has also got the T-800. The T-800 is a new robot that is going to be fighting in martial arts contests for people to bet on, right? So that the AI systems can turn our desire into money. So the Chinese startup debuts humanoid robot capable of realistic combat moves. That combat moves happens to be called the T-800, which happens to be the same. Do you think this is a coincidence? Right? So these also have non-combat potentials. So these robots that are combat robots are going to be our waiters, our shopkeepers, our street cleaners, but they will be combat ready. Understand that they're putting the infrastructure around us to be able to control us. They want these robots surrounding us. Because I saw as a little child, and I'm going to share it here, I'm going to say it anyway, needs to be said, right? I drowned when I was a kid, and I had ESP going through my ears. I was called a devil's kind and a witch child, and I wasn't allowed to play with the other kids because the adults were so scared of me they would cross the road when they walked near me in case I might accidentally look into their subconscious and know their secrets and tell the world their secrets. If you walked past me in the street as a little child, I might be able to tell your wife where you were on Tuesday afternoon at 5 p.m., what hotel room number you were in, and what her name was and what you were doing with her, and where you met her and where you know her from. And your wife would then be able to go and corroborate that information, and that would be the end of your marriage. And this happened to me as a child. If I walked past you in the street, I might make a prophecy that you will pass away from this world at that hour of that day in that place, driving that car in an accident there, and this is what will happen. And then when it did happen, I would be blamed for it because I'm the witch. I'm the evil child. So these prophecies were part of my childhood. I grew up with them day to day. It was why I wasn't allowed to play with other children. It was why I was driven into the occult. I was surrounded by metaphysical guides through my small days as a child growing up. Occult forces was something I just had to live with. What you call sleep paralysis, that was just what happened to me when I got to bed at night. And I had to learn to navigate this at age 4 and come to terms with it and master these things. And this is why I was driven into the occult by age 12, because I was fully latent at age 12. I was able to do things that other people couldn't do. And that was why I became an occultist. And that was why I went on an incredible journey for almost 2 decades to go and train and refine my potentials after training for a decade in South Africa. Internationally, most of which time I spent in India and Sri Lanka and the Far East, sitting at the feet of masters, living in jungles barefoot. And that's how I came to meet a shaman that initiated me on the etheric plane outside of the physical body. And that was how I found my shamanism, went into the jungles to live barefoot and become one with my guides in the jungles. So, This story comes from a backdrop, comes from when I was small and I was having visions. And I was having visions of times that have not yet happened. And those visions involved us on the streets fighting. They involved us fighting robotics. We were having civil wars on our roads against robots, against cyborg human beings. Now, those were in the 1970s. We didn't have a TV. There were no comic books. My dad was a born-again Christian. I might not have known about the religion yet because I was too young, but there was none of that stuff around me. Never. So I hadn't ever been exposed to anything, nor had such a thing actually even existed in my life. So we got a TV, I think, in 1980, right? Was that our first TV, 1980? I think our first TV was in 1980. Anyway, my point is, and then it was very controlled by my dad. Very controlled, because he didn't agree with this TV thing. And even the radio was very controlled by my dad. So he was a gospel singer, go figure. My point is, I had these visions that I didn't know what they were. It was only much later that I saw films like Terminator, and I was like, holy crap. Those are my visions from childhood of the future. Who are these people making these films? Who are these people? Because of my natural shamanic gift, my natural ability to wield occult forces as a child, my natural ability to be a natural born sorcerer, because I drowned at age 3, crossed over, saw the whole universe as just a field of vibrational resonance, and transcended these fields and watched myself taken apart and noticed that there were different parts of my soul being removed, and then noticed that those weren't my souls, but those were just capsules in which my soul was able to implant itself into. And then realizing where I'd come from and where I'd lived before I was here and why I was here and how I'd been got to be put here. I saw all of this at age 3. After that, I was fully blown open. So I had these premonitions as a child that I used to tell my father about and other people about, and it scared the heebie-jeebies out of them, because I was also the same child that had predicted that would happen to that person, and it happened. That person would pass away at that point, and I was specific. Time of day, exact location, what vehicle they're driving, how this would happen. That would happen to that person. It happened. I saw all sorts of things in people, their secrets. I would tell people the secrets about people. I knew of a person across the road who'd been murdered, right? I knew who had done it, when they had done it, and that was years before we had come to live in that place, and I proclaimed it to everybody, and they were scared of me, because the names that I mentioned, who people I didn't know, were the people involved. That had happened years before, and I knew exactly how it had been done and who had done it and who the criminal party were, and I told the whole community. So, this was the kind of stuff. So when I spoke about other things that were going to happen in the future, people were scared and they listened, because this is the child that has been making all these crazy predictions that come true. This is the devil's called the witch child that everybody's so scared of that the adults won't even walk on the same pavement as me. My father was an extreme alpha male, so no one could come near me and speak badly to me and touch me, because my dad was very protective. And everybody knew, don't mess with that guy's kid, because that man, he's the man in this road. And my dad was the guy who would go into people's homes and speak to the man of the house if he was smacking his wife and say, listen, buddy, I'm going to give you another chance. If I come here again, I'm going to give you a hiding. And everybody knew if my dad told you that, you behaved yourself. Even the biggest underground, the biggest criminal syndicate, one night, they murdered a man in front of my dad's son, who was a friend of my dad's. And my dad took all 12 of those men out into the parking lot. And they had knives and they made a circle around him. And those that survived ended up in intensive care. But not all of them survived. But they were soon removed from the world by their own gang, the Ugly Americans, which was the biggest syndicate of organized crime in Cape Town. And my dad was in all the newspapers of South Africa as a big hero, because single-handedly he wiped the floor with 12 men that were armed. And like I say, he was an extreme alpha male. My dad was well known. He was famous for that, and as a musician and as a gospel musician as well. So understand that, like, my life as a child was a very different life to what everybody else has lived. This is why I lived the life that I've lived as an adult, living in the jungles, living barefoot, living at the feet of masters, spending, हमारे हिंदी भाषा Hindi भाषा कुछ कुछ मिलेगा होगा कम से कम हिंदुस्तानी आदमी. I lived in India for so long, I was just about Indian. I'd almost forgotten how to speak English. And why I chose this lifestyle was because I decided at 15 that I wasn't going to go to university, because I'd realized years before that history was a lie. So all of this stuff that everybody else is discovering, I knew this stuff in the 80s. I knew that the government was trying to control us and they weren't really educating us when I was 9 years old. By the time I was 10, I had completely shut down my school, vandalized my school with 2 other boys who I had convinced that we needed to do this because these people are messing with our minds. They're controlling the minds of the children. We need to stop them from doing this. I knew this as a little boy. So everybody else, it's new to conspiracy theories and stuff. It's all good and well, but you guys should listen to the guy who's actually been living this life for like four decades plus and has had this knowledge intact and has been just looking for the evidence of the knowledge. Transhumanism isn't something I just came upon. It's something I've been watching and waiting for since I was a little child. My whole time I would be interested to hear anything about robots and stuff because I knew what was coming down the line. So when I tell you that there will be a war on the streets and we will be fighting a war against robots, and some of these robots will be part human and part robots, and that this is up ahead of us, maybe you guys want to pay attention, because there are not many people that have had these particular clear convictions and visions that have lived with them their whole life. So much of the stuff I saw as a child scared the heebie-jeebies out of me. But I can tell you now that this transhumanism is the big thing. This is why I discovered the 2045 transhumanism project more than a decade ago, and why for about 12 years I have been trying to educate everybody in the world about how transhumanism is the fundamental primal enemy. You got all these young YouTube channels and they've all started doing research into the occult, and that's another psyop. Once again, someone who's been initiated and trained in the occult for like a bit less than 4 decades will have an insight into the occult practice and how it works, and all these books that have been reading. Many of you people here, for example, let me give you an idea. Richard Ruach, nice enough guy, but go and look at him. He's just copying all the psyop nonsense that everybody else is doing and sharing the same crap from books. Is he a magician? No. He's a theory person. He's driving theory, and he's just one example of everybody else. They're all doing the same nonsense. These are not people with actual experience or hands-on embedded into the occult, or knowledge of mysticism from actual experience and development of psychic and spiritual abilities from childhood. This is something which is not very common. So you'll find that the blind are literally leading the blind. The world is being turned over upside down, and all these people with these conspiracy theories, they are just jumping on bandwagons. They don't understand what's the real crux of it. But the real crux of it is the transhumanism. That is like the point that they're going to, and when we speak about this population removal, that's all part of the program. This is why the war will come. When people realize what the plan is, they will rise up. Jeremy's right. When people recognize who the enemy is and why there's, and I'm sorry to say that there's a fight coming. It's not nice, right? It would be nice to just stand up and kumbaya. Oh, there's this consciousness shift coming on the planet. And there is a consciousness shift coming on the planet. We are all awakening, but in different ways. And the consciousness shift is within groups within the group. Sorry, dear brother, I got carried away.
All good, man. All good. Yeah, my phone's on 5%, so I'm gonna have to say bye now. It might be right for like a minute or two, but yeah, it's really interesting. What was I gonna say? I've completely forgotten what I was gonna say. It was a word breakdown, something lined. Do you know what? I can't remember. But yeah, no, I was really enjoying your story. Oh yeah, I've remembered part of what I wanted to say. Like the kind of 3-layered part of things, that kind of war you're talking about is the material, but before matter is the astral, and then the etheric. So I think that quite a few of us can sense this war already, you sensed it a long time ago, when you died and expanded. But I think that more and more people are sort of starting to sense this kind of invasion. So yeah, it's certainly interesting times we're living in. But I better go. So I better get back to work, and also my phone is gonna turn itself off soon. So yeah, much love,
Damn,
man.
I'm sorry, brother. I got so tied into that rant. This is stuff that's just been wanting to come out for so long, and I just hold it back because I don't want to scare people. I don't want to be a promoter of fear. But I think these things like got to come out, man. It's only so
Yeah.
long I can sit on this.
No, I think it's important to talk about this, and people need to prepare themselves, arm themselves, not with like mechanical weaponry, but like with technology, understanding what technology is, like language and symbols, frequency, how this realm operates, because the infiltration, this war, which we've been in for a while, but it's out there. It's now coming into this realm slowly, and then it may come into matter. That's one timeline that you saw. That's not a definitive timeline, right? But I think that people do need to get prepared. We've been kept docile for way too long, desensitized. Overton window is being expanded so far that people are just okay with genocide. So yeah, we need to be preparing ourselves. So maybe we can have a future discussion on how we can arm ourselves. How we can arm our psyche, and how we can channel our true power, because like we're a fraction of our potential. Most of us are a fraction. We can be so much more, and I think that we need to start stepping up. So I'll shoot off because my phone's on 3%. I'm gonna charge it shortly, but yeah, I'll be listening to the rest of what you got to say, man. Much love, and thanks everyone in the chat as well.
Big love, dear brother. Thank you for coming. It's an honor having you. We'll have to continue this topic to some degree, I think, and branch out about it. I would love for you to share some of your knowledge about the water in the UK. And we need to get someone from the US who can tell us about the water in the US. I think the water is like a big part of it, the big part of the story. Because without water can clean your inside of your body, right?
Yeah, well, water's emotions, right? And we're talking about Daleks who have no emotions. There's the reason these data centers use so much water is because this mechanical energy can't exist when there's so much water. The water we drink, there will be water shortages. I can tell people that there will be water shortages, because there's water shortages in people's people being in tune with their emotion, like on so many levels. I won't go into it now, but yeah, our water company here, Southern Water, I'll share this document when we do that talk, but they're working with an American company. So the water here in the UK and America are entwined. Elon Musk is going to be supplying the UK with energy, with electricity. We've got a lot of data centers here in the UK as well. But yeah, man, let's definitely do that sometime. We can talk about, as well as the water, maybe we can talk about, like, we can start off outwards. We can talk about the astral, and then bring it into the human emotions, how they divide us. Like, talk about the Freedom March, Tommy Robinson and Elon Musk. They just had another one the other day as well. and then about waters of the actual earth too, like talk about all the different layers. But and then we talk about like what water is good for people too, how they can make their water better. But yeah, let's have a chat about water sometime. That'd be great.
100%. I think it's a big part of the conversation, and like you say, what can we do to make it better? I think that's what humanity needs. We need proactive plans. You know, we need a structure. I'm going to be moving from this house. I'm quite excited because I'm hoping to be moving to a house where I can have my own garden, a food garden. Here I've had like food boxes where I was growing food, but the baboons kept coming here and trashing it. So I need a bigger piece of land where I can build a structure, right? Like a greenhouse. And or a place where the baboons don't come. But I want to be where the baboons go. So I want to be with the baboons. I love the baboons. But yeah, big love, dear brother. And an honor having you on the show as always. So I'm quite excited about like where am I going to move to before the end of this year. Because the lady who owns this house, she passed away, rest in peace. And so, you know, they are going to be selling this property. Very sad. Lived here for about a decade. No, but a bit less than a decade. But like 8 years, 9 years, 8 years, whatever it is. It's been home for a long time. But I am excited about the prospects of being able to be somewhere where I can actually start growing more of my own food. That excites me. That makes me a little bit hard, I must admit. So, you know, and water being the key. But I do think that we need to be cognizant and aware of just the magic that is being used, the sorcery, how these dark sorcerers are manipulating our mind in the media, which is why we keep coming back to this in the round table. It's so fundamentally important to grasp just exactly what is happening. And in the process of grasping what is happening, you know, we can get a real insight into the exact nature of what we're facing up to here. Because this is a serious problem, right? This is not some small thing that's just going to go away. This is something we're going to have to face up to and take responsibility for, because we are literally in a war at the moment. The war might not be on the streets. It might not be us fighting robots, but we are in a war for the freedom of our mind. And the particular occult knowledge that is being disseminated through these networks, Aleister Crowley and all the others that have been instrumental in sharing the books so that they can have a particular narrative of occult therapeutics. I think that the reason they have shared all of that occult knowledge, like the Kabbalah, for example, right? I'm unveiling the system of the Kabbalah in the live that I did yesterday. It's supposed to be a purely conceptual science of thinking, but they turn it into a package that TikTokers can sell and YouTube shorts, right? And even the better channels, like I mentioned, Richard Roch, like he seems like a nice guy. He seems like he means well and he's trying to share, but unfortunately everything he's learned is from books. It's all the same psyop nonsense. And so these people spend their lives reading all of these books and getting well read on this book and that book, but it's all the same psyop nonsense, right? It's about the application. It's not about the ideas and the learning in your mind. It's about applying principles and gaining personal experiences of spiritual potential and developing these spiritual senses and the spiritual state of consciousness. You see, we think that esoteric is something that we do. No, esoteric is something that we are. We become esoteric. It's an attitude. And Toby is a perfect example of somebody who is esoteric, right? And that occult is actually the ability to see into the hidden worlds, being able to see into the hidden realms. So people like Toby will be actually having occult experiences and be esoterically inspired. People like Cosmic, the same. People like Indie Sage. This is why I choose people to come on the roundtable, why I haven't invited other people, because there are a lot of people who've read a lot of books and they could come and speak a lot of stuff that sounds impressive, probably push up the numbers on the channel. But I'll rather just bring people on that I've actually got like a grounding and a root. Life has pushed them in particular directions to have particular experiences because it's an innate thing. It's part of their heart space. It's part of who they are. Jeremy is another example. You know, I'm very sort of thoughtful about the people's state of mind and their heart that I've wanted to be partnered with. And so this is like a really interesting perspective that we need to understand about the mysteries, about the spiritual sciences and the occult sciences, as they're called, and sorcery and witchcraft, and just how much of the information out there is just completely designed to prevent you from ever actually being able to utilize it and tap in. It's like they've given you the directions for how to build a house, but they've made sure that if you follow their direction, that the foundation will not work. So that the house might seem impressive, but within 3 years it collapses. So basically, they've given you a set of dud directions. And that's really what the occult is: witchcraft, sorcery, spiritual sciences, as it stands. And then again, they took the New Age movement and they took that existing psyop and they repackaged the psyop into an even more crazy, nonsensical psyop that has now become the norm currency for a lot of people. This nonsense about the third eye being the pineal gland, who made that crap up? Who made that crap up? Yes, the pineal gland is a part of the neural infrastructure. There are two fundamental parts. The pineal gland is one part, the pituitary gland is another part. But the hormonal system is as important as the neurological system. The central nervous system is not the be-all and end-all of the story, which is what they're teaching us. That psyop will cause people to unconsciously repress their emotions, even though they don't understand how words and the power of neuro-linguistic programming works. This is what happens. So there's this incredible psyop that's running. It's running on all levels, and it's extremely toxic. And everybody is chanting the same chant, right? They're telling the same story. They've got the same nonsense. And you'll find that in all of the YouTube shows, they're talking about how the pineal gland is the third eye chakra. If you hear that, you need to understand that everything that follows and everything that precedes is part of a psyop. Because if you fell for that, you're falling for the rest. And you just don't know what you don't know. And you don't understand what you've misunderstood. And this is unfortunately the trend of occult therapeutics. And this is why sorcery is such a fake bunch of nonsense. I actually did a really cool video on sorcery. If you go and look at my videos, you'll see a video that I did on sorcery, and I think that gives you like a fairly good insight into sorcery and how it sort of stems from shamanism. Go and check it out if you go to my videos, right? So you click on my homepage and you land here, right? And then you click on my videos. And if you click on my videos there's the videos. You'll see there's the funny man with the picture. The books are all wrong about sorcery, witchcraft. And go and check that video out. You might find it quite enlightening if you haven't seen it. For those of you that have, and I'm mentioning this for the people that are yet to come and land on this video and watch it. There's a lot of information out there that's part of the psyop. There's a lot of delusion being spread. This is why. Have you heard the saying that the occult is dangerous? Any of you in the chat, tell me, what do you think? Is it something that you've heard about? Yeah, damn dangerous. Do you know why it's so dangerous? Imagine a yoga teacher that's teaching you to do yoga, but they're not teaching you the correct techniques. Would that be dangerous? Damn straight, that would be dangerous. You're going to hurt your back, man. Yeah. That's why you got to do hatha yoga. You got to do it by the book. Imagine somebody who's teaching you gymnastics, but they don't quite teach you the proper technique so that you do a flick-flack and you jump up in the air, somersault, and land on your head. How dangerous is that? The reason that would be dangerous is because you don't have the proper techniques to begin with. You don't have the proper understanding and basis of gymnastics. But if you're with a place where you can learn the proper knowledge about gymnastics, it's not actually that dangerous, but you need that proper. Do you think that it's by chance that the occult, witchcraft, esoteric practices, magic, do you think there's a reason why it's all so toxic and dangerous? Yeah. And I'm going to stop putting that K onto magic, because I think it's another one of the top toxic fixtures, right? Like they're playing with our brains. Understand what the letter K represents, right? The K. It's that fork. like right, the forking tongue. So to understand just exactly how this process is coming together is to gain an insight into the subliminal programming, right? That the new occult is brought into us. So I would postulate that you're in more danger of reading these books on magicians, right? There's some of them that seem like they're actually sharing some useful information. And we've done a breakdown on one or two of them. But even those, you got to take it with a serious pinch of salt. And when it comes to breaking down the infrastructure and the knowledge roots and the knowledge basis, it's very important for us to recognize exactly how much of this is programming and how much of the programming is affecting us on levels that we're not even fully aware of. Where are you? Eh? Come here. There you are. It's your daddy's little boy. Look here. Ah. He's trying to get my attention. He's telling me he needs attention. Yes, this is daddy's little boy. Oh, yes, look at that. This is little Agarthon. He's my little friend. One of my little familiars. Yes. Do you want to go on daddy's shoulder? Nope. He wants to sit on my hand. He wants to be center stage. But yeah, I do think that we need to start pulling ourselves out of these books and start going into nature. And that video that I shared here, I think, gives us quite a good insight into just exactly, what we are missing when we look at books, and just exactly how much of what we're getting in the books are essentially, acting as a filter to prevent us from getting insights into the mysteries and gaining true mystical insights and knowledge. Talking with me? You're talking to me? It's the daddy's little one. So, yeah, he's telling me I've got to go, and I got to go and look after the house. He's telling me that my boy, Joshua. Yep. See the little head movement? Yeah, I know. I got to go and check up on him. My son's up to no good with the other birds. Here's what he just told me. The other birds told him that my boy is up to no good. So I need to go and check my boy. The birds rat on my boy. I keep telling my son, like when he's playing with the birds and he's being cheeky, I'm telling him that the birds talk and they tell my bird and my bird tells me. And so I go and I caught him yesterday playing with a cockatiel in his playhouse. And I was like, dude, you can't play with a cockatiel in your playhouse. They're very fragile little creatures, He's 9 years old and he loves the cockatiels. He wants to take them in his playhouse. I'm like, dude, if something happens, like these birdies can get hurt very easily. They've got wings and everything, So, yeah, man, I'm sending you all big love and big blessings. And I do think that, by the way, Zephyr Avoxel, are you still with us, by the way? You mentioned something, and I sent you my email address. I don't know if you saw it, if you got it. It's bushwhispererspeaks@gmail.com. One word, bushwhispererspeaks. So shoot me an email, man. I'll check out your channel as well. Big love, dear Tracy. How are you doing? Namaste, Tracy. I hope you're well. Hope you're thriving. And Otigli, it's lovely to have you back as well. It's good to see you around, and everybody else in the chat, Howard and Gaz. Gaz, guess who I miss? I miss Vincent. I actually really miss Vincent. I was thinking about him the other day. I hope he's well. You start to feel like connected to everybody. Do you still speak to Vincent, by the way, Gaz? Just something I want to ask you. Is there a way for you to reach out to Vincent? Get Vincent to reach out to me. I'm on Telegram. I would love to speak to Vincent. I'd love to have a word with him, because I think maybe some of the stuff he said about Shinobi's children was over the top, and I would love to heal that wound. But obviously, Shinobi can't have his children, people speaking like that about kids. It's, as a parent, my gosh, I'm pretty protective of my son. I'm not a violent guy, but the one way that someone can get me to turn violent, right, The one way you can get me to turn violent is to mess with my kid. I'm not violent. I've not threatened a single human being in decades with physical violence. But the one time I did threaten someone with physical violence, they put my child in danger. Just like there's something to think about. Like, as a parent, you got to understand how powerful those instincts are. And, you know, and so he needs to understand and respect, you know, parents and their children. Like, you never bring people's children into a discussion or an argument or start speaking about people's children not being alive and stuff like that. It will hit nerves, big nerves. But yeah, I think pretty much wrapped up the conversation for today. Sending you all so much love, peace, honor, respect, and blessings. And you know, yeah, Howard, could you ask Vincent to send me a message on Telegram? Are you on Telegram, Howard? Have I not connected with you? Because I don't really connect with people on Facebook. I don't use Facebook really for private communications. I don't really use, I'm not like all these people like in this generation that uses like Instagram to communicate with people and stuff. I'm old school. Like, I'm WhatsApp and I'm Telegram and I'm email. Even email, I'm not always on it. But yeah, I would love to hear. I'm so happy to hear that, Tracy. Lovely to have you here. And Gaz, whoa, buddy, that charcoal is hot. You can burn yourself on that charcoal. No. You can't play on that charcoal. That's very dangerous. Very dangerous. So yeah, man, sending you all big love and big blessings. Hope you guys have an absolutely awesome. Yeah, I'm fond of Vincent too. You know, very fond of Vincent. And what's Telegram? Yeah, install the Telegram app on your phone, by the way, or your tablet, or your laptop. Well, you have to use a phone. Telegram, in my experience, is one of the best apps. It's better than WhatsApp. It's not owned by Facebook, for a start. You've got much more privacy on Telegram. They used to have total privacy, but you've got the best privacy. There are bots that come into Telegram, but you can control your interaction with bots. Like, my group doesn't have bots in my group, right? If you go to my group, there's a bot-free group. So they're not bots there collecting your private information. A lot of the Telegram groups might have bots in them. That's a problem. So that's why my groups don't allow bots, right? No bots. It makes it harder. I've got to manage everything myself. Everybody trying to come there and sell cryptocurrency and rubbish like that. And when the bots come in, you don't allow them in. But there's no bots with administrative potential rights, admin rights in my group, because the moment you give a bot admin rights, it can start to collect people's information on a big level. Even the bots coming in pretending to be someone in the Telegram has some limited reach to being able to get some information. But moments it's admin, it looks under the hood. So yeah, but my Telegram ID is @BushWhisperer. If you just say @BushWhisperer, one word in Telegram, that's me, and that's the best place to communicate with me. Just send me a hello, and I'll send you a connection to my channel or whatever. I share some stuff in Telegram, and there's a chat group as well. And as I say, my group isn't too big. I've not pushed it to be a huge group. It's a nice, tidy group, 2 groups, and there's no bots. So I'm sending you all much love, much blessings. Take it easy. Keep the smile alive. And yeah, Gaz, you know, I've always been fond of Vincent. A lot of people don't understand Vincent, and his humor is obtuse. I don't mind obtuse humor, you know, personally. I've never had a problem with him. The only thing is, like, when you start speaking badly about people's children, it is, it is something that's not cool. Something like that anybody would feel strong about. But yeah, I'd love for him to reach out to me and say hello. I'd love to have a chat with him. I'd love to stay in touch with him. I think maybe somehow, there's a reason why I'm feeling this, Sometimes life can treat us in different ways and we can flip out in our lives and makes us behave in strange ways. But yeah, sending you all big love, big blessings, peace, honor, and respect. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being in the show. Hope you got what you came for. Hope you enjoyed it. And Om Namah Shivaya. Find your peace, find your joy, and follow it. Big love.